Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing some faux watercolor and faded stripes. Please make sure to hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. This is how the nails turned out. I am just using a 180 grit file to buff up the nails. That way they will have good adhesion with the gel polish that I'm going to be using. I don't generally use this file for any kind of real shaping because, as you can see, it's very bendy and kind of squishy almost. It's just a generic one that I got at Ulta or something. And I definitely like the stiff ones that are hard so that they don't move when I'm doing any kind of shaping on my sidewalls or free edges. That way I can make sure I get the straight lines and I don't have to worry about those edges curving at all. Once that's done, I'm just going to take some cleanser and clean off the nails. And then I'm going in with my prep and dehydrator on all the nails as well. These are both by the same brand, which is Red Carpet Manicure. And I will have this information listed in the description box as always. Now I'm just using my ASP Extra Strength Nail Primer before I go in with my Beetles base coat. I apologize, guys. My voice is kind of cracking because I am sick still. I'm getting towards the end of it though, I think, so hopefully my voice will be back to normal next week. So you just want to make sure you work the base gel into the nails really well and you don't just paint it on like any regular gel polish. And then for this brand Beetles, you cure it for 90 seconds. Now I'm just using a white gel polish on 2 of the fingers to create a nice base for my watercolor effect. After I do a layer each, I cure these for 60 seconds and then I go back in with a second layer. For my other nails, I'm going to use Beetles Gel Polish brand from the Happy Harvest collection in the shade 303. And if you look in the iCards, I've linked the video below where I swatched this whole collection. It's a beautiful kind of ruby / burgundy, I guess is how you would describe it. Just a really pretty red. I like it a lot for fall. Sorry, my hair got in the way there. I generally have it up in a bun when I do my videos, but today I had it down so it was falling forward when I leaned forward. And then curing that for 60 seconds as well. Then I'm going to go in with a matte top coat, again by the brand Beetles, on both of the white nails. This matte top coat, it's my favorite matte gel polish. It works beautifully. It's a no wipe top coat. It just turns out perfectly every time. So now I'm using some of these watercolor alcohol inks, and these were sent to me from Yayogi. I do have a coupon code, which I have linked down in the description for you. So I've just started with the pink and then added some black Sharpie in because I didn't have a black color. They also had a clear one in this set, so I used that on one nail, and then on the other nail I'm using 70% alcohol just so I can see the difference on how they affect the inks. So I went in first with the pink. Now I'm going in with the purple and then using this clear one just to blend it in some more. And I know the pinks and the purple, they kind of look a bit similar, but that's the pink right there that I'm adding in, so you can see it's just more vibrant. And I'm just going back and forth between the pink and the purple, and then blending it through until I get the effect that I'm looking for. And again, I was using the 70% alcohol on the right nail, but I will use that here on the left as well, because I just saw that it was blending and giving the effect that I wanted more so than the clear ink was. I am going to use that clear in a different way in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. I just wanted to kind of experiment with it and see what would happen if maybe next time I will lay down that clear first and drop the ink into a bead of the wet clear. We'll drop a colored ink in and we'll see how that turns out. So those dry on their own. So now I'm just moving on what I'm going to be doing as the faded stripe nails. So I'm using some striping tape, and what you need to do, this is kind of like a long process. It takes quite a while, but the results are beautiful, so it's kind of worth it. So basically you just lay down the striping tape exactly next to each other until you fill up the whole nail. Now, I started in the middle and I worked my way backwards, when really it would have been easier to start at the back and work your way forwards, because laying it in front is definitely easier than laying it behind. It's just easier to see where the edges are. Then once you get the whole nail covered, you're going to peel off every other piece. That way you've got some covered, and then so you've got a line covered, a line open, a line covered, a line open. Now this is a gel polish, the same one that I used for the background for my watercolor. Putting it onto a standard latex-free beauty sponge and dabbing it onto the palette, and then dabbing it and blending it over part of the nail. I'm going to work this into kind of a diagonal design. I applied the color heavier and brought the ombre down farther so that they kind of overlap each other on each side. You'll see what I mean here when I get done with this nail, but basically you just keep bouncing until you get the coverage that you need. Then you go ahead and cure it, and then you can go in with more or continue to the next step. I just wanted to be sure that I had really opaque white towards the back, and then having it fade down as it came towards the middle. Now when you have a thick amount of gel polish like I did here, it is harder to get that fade, so you definitely just want to make sure that you use a lighter hand if you want it to be more of a faded look rather than more of a bold look, which is what I got on this nail. And here I was just using the tip of the sponge to kind of, instead of dabbing, I was more rubbing or smearing it, just to get a better fade, and it did work. So just, you know, kind of test things out as you go, find what works for you. There aren't really any hard and fast rules with different techniques like this, so just play around and find out what works best. So you can see after I cured it, I just am darkening up that back edge a bit more, just so I can get some more contrast rather than it being one opacity all the way through. So I peeled those off and then cleaned the nail with alcohol. And now you want to take some of the striping tape and lay it directly over the lines that you just created. Now, I tried to use the strips that I had pulled off before to go over top of this, but they're really one use only. They don't have enough stick to them, and that gel polish gives that white, it kind of gave it like a slip, if you will. It wasn't sticking properly at all, so you just have to go in with a new strip when you're ready. So then once you get all of the white strips covered up, then you're going to go in with the same technique except for starting at the other side of the nail. So instead, I had previously done the top right, covered those up, and now I'm using it on the bottom left. and then carefully peel those up once again. I'm using tweezers to do this just because it makes it easier, and you have less of a risk of pulling any of the paint off. So here, that was a really short clip, and that's actually the amount of time that it took for me to do this. It was a few pounces. And then I accidentally went in with, guys, I accidentally went in with acetone instead of alcohol. So that's why it faded so much. I felt like a total idiot. But again, here you can see this was real speed of how many pounces I had to get that fade the way I wanted it. And it's a much lighter fade. So because I messed up that nail with the acetone, I will show you how to get it on the thumb. So again, just using very little amount of the gel polish and a light hand to gently dab on with the sponge, curing it for a full 60 seconds. Peel off the striping tape that you have down already, and then you lay down the striping tape exactly on top of the stripes you just created once that has been cleaned with alcohol or gel cleansing solution. Then you go and dab on the polish on the opposite side. And you'll see once I have this cured that this was the best one by far, since the first one was a little too strong. The second one was too weak since I accidentally removed part of it. And this one was perfect. This is how the technique should look when you do it. It's a beautiful look. I really liked how it came out. And then because that middle one was so strong and the white was so bright, I didn't want it to be so white. I just wanted to see the difference. So I mixed some of that same base color with some top coat, about half and half. And then I'm going over each of the red nails just to cover up the stripes a bit so that they're still visible, but because that paint is sheared out, but you don't have the stark white of the stripes. And then I did that twice on the middle nail since that one was extra bright because of the thickness that I had applied. So now I'm going back in with that same matte top coat that I used before and coating each of the nails. And Beetle's base and top coats all require a 90-second cure, so you just want to make sure you cure for 90 seconds after applying that matte top coat. And now I'm going to apply some bling. I'm using this, I call it rhinestone gel, but I got it on Born Pretty, which I will have that haul linked in the iCards as well. But they call it extension gel. I use it for attaching my bling and rhinestones. So I lay that down in the spaces that I need it. And then I go over it with my top coat. Because these nails are going to be matte, I did use matte top coat instead of the shiny to go over it. And it's better to go over it with the matte now rather than wait, because if you wait, you risk getting that matte on top of your jewels, and that doesn't happen if you do it the way that I'm doing it now. So it turned out really well. I had the shininess of the gems, rhinestones, and the gold piece, but everything else was matte. Now moving over to the other nail, I'm doing the same thing, putting some of the rhinestone gel exactly where I want it to be, covering that up while the gel is still uncured, covering it with the top coat, and then placing my crystals and rhinestones where I want them to be. They sink down really beautifully into the gel, and the top coat helps keep the gel from being sticky. Since there's no wipe top coat, once you're done curing, the nail's ready to go. You don't have to worry about cleansing any stickiness and getting anything caught on the rhinestones. So cure that for a full 90 seconds. And I do go through and just cleanse with alcohol one more time, not around the rhinestones and crystals, but on the red nails. And that's it, guys. I think they turned out beautifully. I love the crystal arrangement. Let me know what you think down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!